life with the worst imaginable forms of illnesses. And let's say you walk into a room where a 5-year-old little girl is dying of cancer, leukemia. She's in tremendous pain, and there's her mother in the room, and you walk in and you say, I'm really, really sorry that your daughter is dying of cancer. And she says, I know, it's horrific. In the lower right corner of your triangle, you can write bad stuff, you can write pain, you can write suffering, you can even write the word evil there. I think most of us will imagine that a 5-year-old child dying of a really horrific disease like leukemia is bad stuff, suffering, pain. Agreed? And then the mother says out loud, I know it's bad. I wish there was a God who could save my daughter and heal her. And you say, well, there is. And the mom looks at you and says, what? And you go, oh, no, there is. Up at the top of the apex put, there is an all-powerful God, or after that you can put the letter S. This theodicy question works for both monotheism as well as polytheism. The Greeks invent this question, and obviously they were polytheistic. Or were they? We'll get into that. Yeah, no, there is an all-powerful deity. Yeah. Who could completely remove your daughter's cancer right here, right now. And the mom goes, well, that's something. That must not be a very nice God. If that God has the power to remove my daughter's cancer, that must not be a very nice God. And you go, oh, no, down at the lower right corner. No, there is an all-loving deity or deities that wants nothing more than for your daughter to be cured. And the mom looks at you and says, well, so there's a God that wants my daughter to not have cancer and has the power to remove my daughter's cancer. How come my daughter has cancer? Like, dude, what's going on with that? Because of these three options on your little triangle, an all-powerful God or gods, an all-loving God or gods, a child dying of cancer, she says, this is the one thing I'm absolutely certain of. My kid's dying of cancer. That I do know. You're telling me there's such a thing as an all-powerful, all-loving God? How come that God hasn't cured my daughter's cancer then? There clearly must not be an all-powerful, all-loving God. The theodictic question. The question of pain. The question of suffering. The question of meaning. Right? In the universe. What's it all mean? What's the point of it all? So the question the Greeks invent. By the way, let's point out, some have argued this is the knockdown question, knockdown argument for belief in a deity or deities. Just destroys it. You can't believe in God if this question comes up. Others argue quite the opposite. No. This isn't the knockdown argument against the belief in God. It's the beginning of the belief in deity, and here's why. You said at the beginning that a 5-year-old dying of cancer was bad, evil. Why? Why? Like, do you think that way about a bug that dies on a street? Bugs are different. Oh, are they? Now we're doing ontology. Really? So you're different from a bug? Well, yeah. Why? In terms of meaning. You have to assume some value. Write that in your notes. It's an important word. We're going to come back to it over and over again. Value? Like, what's that about? And how come we believe people have value? Why does anyone matter? To use the language that's so prevalent right now in our popular culture. Any life matters. Like, but why? The Greeks, that's a Greek question. Why does any life matter? And by matter, we're assuming you don't mean this. Matter. We mean matter as in meaning. See how the Greeks play a game with words? The same word for matter is the same word that's matter, as in matters, it value, care. The theodictic question. Like, what's going on with all this bad stuff that happens? Who creates it? Who allows it? What's its meaning in our lives? The big five. Epistemology, what can you know? Ontology, who are you? Psychology, how's your mind work? Sociology, what's this thing when we all get together? How's that work out? And theodicy, the question of meaning in the universe, and more particularly explain pain, right? Like, what is up with that? You know what I mean? Like, what is going on with that? Now let's play a quick game. On the notes in front of you, let's play the game of Prometheus. I mean, this is a story that we know. We said that this was the story out of Athens that was in many ways the correlate story by 1700 Common Era to the book of Job story that we said was a story out of Jerusalem in an earlier lecture. We know the story of Prometheus. It's a simple three-part story. Prometheus decides to give humans knowledge. We often say fire, but the real story, of course, is that a whole lot more than just fire is given to humans. That is to say, knowledge. Humans get that knowledge. For that, part two of the story, Prometheus is jacked. Jacked something awful, isn't he? Right? Crucified on a rock. He's got a bird that eats out his guts. Every day comes back. Bird, excruciating pain, suffering, really bad suffering. Prometheus, part three. He says, I'm sorry, please plead for it. No. To be Promethean, we've always said this. To be Promethean means, don't tell me what to do. The declaration of independence. Don't tell me what to... Prometheus, to be Promethean. What does he do? He screams the F word at Zeus. God, up yours, I did it. I do it again, I do it 1,000 times. I don't care what you think. Whoa. The story of Prometheus. Now watch how we can play this game. We define learning in 303 as the capacity to connect new information to old information. So let's do it. And let's see what kind of learning we can engage in now. What does the story of Prometheus suggest about epistemology and what you can know? Jot it down. So many levels, so many permeations. How does that one work for you? For example, are humans better off with the knowledge of fire? Well, I don't know, it's a pretty cool thing. You get to go to the woods, you don't freeze to death. But we did reference earlier that people fly airplanes into buildings and lots of people die because of fire. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it a blessing? Is it a curse? Is knowledge good? Or is it destructive and bad? Well, it's not an either-or thing, Mr. McGee. It's kind of like Odysseus sailing between Scylla and Charybdis. You can go too far in either direction. See what we're saying? Right? Prometheus's gift of knowledge comes with a little bit of a suggestion. Don't be too certain of your knowledge. Right? Don't be too certain of your knowledge. That is to say, a little bit of humility can go a long ways. What does this story say about ontology and who we are? Jot down the answer to that one. Obviously, again, lots of permeations on this one with this story. Who are we? Well, we're creatures of curiosity and wonder, discovery. We love to invent new things. We love the idea that we learn new things that somehow make us better at something. You know what I'm saying? Ball players love this kind of... Skateboarders in the house know exactly what I'm talking about. They will try and try and try and try, and then finally they get it. And they go, yes. And then what do? They go home and never skate again? No. Then you gotta go to the next crazy thing. My snowboarders in the house, you know all about this, and my skiers, right? That is to say, what is this thing? We're always trying to learn more, gain more advancement. Well, we kind of seem to be hardwired this way ontologically, huh? We are beings that are constantly looking for more information. Psychologically, what's this story say? Write it down. What's this story say about the mind and the way in which the mind works? And the stubbornness with which we sometimes will approach certain kinds of activities, right? Even if we're told not to. What's the story say about psychology and sociology, right? Tell a child, don't touch the stove. What's the first thing the child does? See? See? So should parents never tell children not to do something? Prometheus is told, don't share fire. It's exactly the thing he does. He disobeys, right? Which is more important, the actions of the individual or the actions of the group? Prometheus makes humans better by helping them out, but he himself is sacrificed for that purpose. We're familiar in the history of thought about individuals that bring important knowledge to humans, and then for that, they're crucified, or shot, or marginalized, humiliated. But they do it anyway, right? Martin Luther King Jr. will stand on the steps of that very famous monument in D.C., and he will speak about the future built on the past, and he will demand it's got to be better. Say good enough. For this, marginalized, maligned, ultimately, sadly, we honor his remembrance today because he was assassinated, he was shot, right? Very Promethean act, but an act that helps us to sit in the room we're sitting in with a different view of the world. What about theodicy? Pain, suffering. He's obviously experiencing it. The Greeks have an interesting observation on this question about pain. Let's get to it now and then we'll discover it through our stories again and again. It runs something like this. When bad things happen, don't ask, why did this happen to me? It's a stupid question. Bad thing happens. Why did this happen to me? It's our instincts. The Greeks pointed out, though, the moment you ask this question, you become the victim in the universe that's doing all this. Stupid school doing stuff to me. Stupid teachers doing stuff to me. The stupid cops doing stuff to me. The only problem with this view is you're a victim. And the universe and all the influences of the universe are affecting you in negative ways. You can never come up with a good enough answer to the question, why did this happen to me? The Greeks argue that if you can change the 2 to a 4, now all of a sudden you've got a question you can answer. Why did this happen for me? Write that on your paper and then look at it. And then notice the difference between the 2 and the 4. To ask, why did this happen for me, now posits I'm no longer a victim in the universe. Dude, I can take care of my own stuff. It may be hard, but I can figure it out. Behind every adversity, there is something there that can teach me, make me better, make me stronger. I'm willing to endure the pain to get what I want. Every ball player knows that. Run in lines. You walk up to him and you go, dude, what are you doing? You could be home right now eating Doritos, playing video games. What are you doing? And he looks at you like you're an idiot. What are you talking about? I got to train. What? You're like in intense pain right now. I know, but I got to train. I do this to get that. I go through this to go there. We even use the hero's name, Odysseus, and we turn it into a verb, Odyssey, right? To take a journey. That is to say, you got to go through the experience to be able to get to the end. So the Greeks love to do this thing where they take a noun and they turn it into a verb. School. Is it a noun? Well, yeah, but it's also a verb. Let me school you. It's an old use of the word. Let me educate you, right? Go back to Mikey and his bike. My boy Mikey didn't want to ride that bike. Once I took those training wheels off, He was afraid. He was scared. Come on, it'll be great. It'll be fun. We have it on video. It's going to be fun. My boy, he's like freaked out. I'm whispering to him. It's going to be great. Come on, you'll do fine. He's forgotten how to pedal. He's so freaked out. Why? Two things about learning. Two things about learning how to ask, why did this happen for me? Fear and pain. You got to go through it. The Greeks teach this. You got to go through it. You don't have a choice. My Mikey starts riding that bike, and of course, man, he's going to hit that curve, right? Bam! Jacked. Of course, the moment that he wrecks, he's mad at who? Not the city engineer for putting the curve in the wrong place. Not himself for forgetting how to use his brakes. He's mad at me. Why? Because I'm the one that challenged him to take off the training wheels and say, do it. And I come running up. Let's go. It's awesome. Let's do it again. But this is the essence, and the Greeks point this out. This is the essence of learning. Pain is propedeutic. There's a good word for you. Propedeutic. Didactic. Instructional. You should thank the instructor that's giving you all the math assignments. Don't whine and complain about it. Does Prometheus whine and complain? No, he does not. No, he does not. He's willing to take the pain to get what he wants, which is the gift that he gives. What's the ultimate goal? Let's finish now. What's the ultimate goal of our Big Five? That is to say, what does it mean to really be a human being? For the Greeks, they encapsulate it in one word. It's really a cool word. It's perspicacity. Now, you can hear in that word, perspicacity, the word perspective, can't you? It comes from the same Greek root. Perspective. In other words, there's two kinds of sight. Whoa, what do you mean there's two kinds of sight? What are you, nuts? No, there's two kinds of sight. There is outsight. I can sit and look at you right now. That's outsight. But then there's this thing called insight. What does that mean? I roll my eyes in the back of my head and I can see my brain? No. Well, then what is insight? Perspicacity. What is that? Wisdom. Wisdom. So they invent a word. Philosophy. 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 Philo, love. Which is, of course, what everyone wants in the universe, right? Sophie, wisdom. The longing for new knowledge. Foundational, what it means to be great. With all of their blemishes, with all of their warts, with all of the problems, all we got to do is read the Iliad to see all of those, okay? The Greeks still produce this amazing civilization that produces what we are today. Fascinating. The legacy of ideas. We now will turn and begin our study of the Odyssey, specifically. But before we do that, we're going to do this thing called the Troy Tale, where we kind of we learn the whole story so that we know the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. But as we go, we'll be asking questions about this Big Five. Of course, as we study all the way through May, our goal is to come back to these Big Five. I'll expect you to think about them as we go. Well, there you go, an introduction to the Big Five in Greek thought. Thank you.